Hello, welcome to this video on Bodhicaryavatara, Chapter 6, Kshanti Paramita, verse 23. Anishyamānamapyetatchulamutpadyate yatha anishyamanopi balat krodha utpadyate tatha. And now with the text up. There we are. Anishyamānamapyetatchulamutpadyate yatha Anishyamanopi balat krodha utpadyate tatha. Now here we see the first line ending in yatha and the second line ending in tatha. It's a very common construction. So the yatha and the tatha, by the way, they could both come equally correctly at the beginning of the line. Yatha anishyamānam and tatha anishyamano. Yatha means as or just as, and tatha means thus, like that. In English, we can leave out the second, the tatha, but just as A, B, or just as A, so in that way, B. And that's the exactly yatha, tatha. So yatha, just as, etat shulam, this sharp pain, anishyamānam api, unwanted, unasked for even, utpadyate, arises. So just as etachulam, this sharp pain, utpadyate, arises, anishyamānam api, even though, api is even or even though unasked for, you haven't asked for it, but even though you haven't asked for it, it still arises. Anishyamānam api. Tatha, in that same way, thus or in that same way. Krodha, anger, utpadyate, arises. Anishyamano api, which by Sandhi, anishyamanopi, anishyamano masculine to agree with krodha. So in that same way, tatha, the anger arises even though it hasn't been asked for. Anishyamana api, anishyamanopi. Balat, literally from force or from power. It means it arises without you having any control over it. It arises from an exterior force. Have a translator here, against one's will. So it arrived from force, against your will. You can't do anything about it. An external force is making it happen. This utpadyate, it is from our well-known root. Let me get iPad up. From our well-known root pad, to go, and with the prefix utpad, literally to go up, is the simplest meaning, utpad, and then by extension to arise, come into being. And it's a class 4 atmanepada, so it's utpadyate with a y, and atmanepada ending utpadyate, it arises. Utpadyate in Pali, that becomes uppajjati. And the verbal noun, as very often happens, the short a, in the root short a followed by a single consonant. So very often we find that the verbal noun that lengthens that a, so pada. So we have utpada, the arising. And in Pali, as we would expect, it's the uppada. And the pratitya, we've just been dealing with um, pratitya or pratyaya in the previous verse. So pratitya, the sum utpada in Sanskrit. Pratitya samutpada. Utpada arising. The samutpada, let me just show you in Pali first. So praticca samupada. So uppada is the arising. Samutpada in Sanskrit, is the idea of not just the act of arising, but arising and then having arisen, taking on a separate coming into being. So not just arising, but coming into being. As for example, bhava, becoming or being. Sambhava means birth. So the idea is that it's the culmination of a process. There's been a process of gestation, giving birth, and finally there is a new being there. So it's the sambhava, the birth. When you like the idea of the completion, the perfection of a process. Samutpada is the same kind of idea. Utpada is more the kind of the process or the act of arising, and the samutpada suggests the completion of that process, culminating in this new thing that's there, having arisen, having been through the process of utpada. As for the rest, this is actually a grammatically fairly simple shloka. Ish, we have the root. I dealt with it here. Yes, here we are. I've done a note on it, but I'll down here. I will just take you through this. We have the root. Sorry, call up iPad again. We have the root ish, meaning to desire. A little bit irregular because it becomes a ch in the present tense. So ichati, to seek or to desire. It comes into Russian, for example, as iskать is to look for something. It's that same root. Now the passive, remember the passives, ichati. Remember passives don't follow the classes of verb or how the present tense is formed. That's kind of a separate little regime. Passives simply add a ya to the root. So the present stem of to be desired is ishya. It is desired, it is wanted, is ishyate. Passes, of course, are all atmanipata. So ishyate, it is desired. Now, to make the present passive participle to this present base, you just add mana. So ishyamana. And the n becomes retroflex because of the preceding sh, remembering the rules about how a r makes a following n retroflex, unless certain consonants interpose. But here, Ishyamarna, nothing would interpose. If this was a r here, Iryamarna, that r would have the effect of making the n retroflex. Exactly the same retroflexing rules apply to a sh as to a r. So Ishyamarna, that's why it's retroflex there. It means, and literally, unwanted. So ish, to want, ishyate, it is wanted, ishyamarna, as the present participle, wanted, anishyamana, unwanted. Exactly the same construction as our English construction and meaning as our English unwanted. So anishyamarnam api, even though, the api, even though unwanted, Etachulam utpadyate. This sharp pain arises. Note the sandhi here. Um, a word ending in a t, and the next word beginning in a sh. This t and sh becomes ch, and that's how we have it. So etat shulam becomes etat shulam. Remember that well. I failed to in my early days and wasted a lot of time looking up words beginning with ch like that in dictionaries, having failed to spot that sandhi. So yatha, just as, et chulam, this sharp pain, utpadyate, arises, api, even though anishyamanam, even though unwanted, even though you haven't asked for it, tata, in that same way, krodha, anger, utpadyate, arises, anishyamano api, by Santi, so anishyamanaha api, then Santi anishyamanopi, even though it's sorry, even though it's unwanted, not asked for, balat, literally by force, by some external force that's driving it, something um, in this context beyond your control, the external force. So I will read this verse through again now. Anishyamaanamapyetatchulamutpadyate yatha. Anishyamanopi balat krudha utpadyate tatha. I'll just pause here for another point of sandhi. Remember the krudha, the aha, followed by a vowel other than a short ah, here followed by an u. All that happens is the visarga drops. So krudha utpadyate. So you have the vowel hiatus, krudha utpadyate, and you see it in the Devanagari. There's the ending dha, word space, and then full vocalic word beginning in u, the ut, krudha utpadyate. And once more before we wind up on this this verse. Anishyamaanamapyetatchulamutpadyate yatha anishyamanopi balat krudha utpadyate tatha. And that's it on this video.